Welcome to Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. It's like coffee with an analyst, or it could be whiskey with an analyst reading a spreadsheet, linking crime events, identifying a series, and getting the latest scoop on association news and training. So please don't beat that analyst and join us as we define the law enforcement analysis profession one episode at a time.
Thank you for joining me. I hope many aspects of your life are progressing. My name is Jason Elder, and today our guest has 4 months of law enforcement analysis experience. She is currently the intern at McPherson Police Department in Kansas. She has 8 years as an intelligence officer in the Air Force. She's here to talk about, among other things, internships and starting a new analyst unit. Please welcome Victoria Curtis. Victoria, how are we doing?
Hi, Jason. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing very well. And so I am really intrigued by your story. I think it's fascinating that you are both an intern for this police department and you are also helping to set up the analytical unit.
Yeah, it's a little unique for sure.
Yeah. So how is Kansas these days?
Well, right now it's really rainy.
Yeah.
But I actually live in Wichita and I commute to McPherson, which is about an hour away every day. So I go from, kind of a bustling big city to kind of middle of nowhere up north. So it's definitely different.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'll make you feel bad. I work from home, so I don't miss driving at all to and from, especially like an hour. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, especially as flat as Kansas is. Jeez, oh.
Yeah. No, it's quite the boring drive. Got to get a good podcast going.
Yeah. So I see on your resume that your bachelor's is from Michigan State. Does that mean you're originally from Michigan?
I am born and raised.
Nice. What part of Michigan?
I am, well, if you could see me, I do the little Michigan hand thing.
Yes, with the mitten, right? That's
Right.
that's the weirdest thing is they'll point to a mitten, and I never realized I'm from Pennsylvania and looked at the map of Michigan all my life and never thought that it looked like a mitten until somebody did
Really?
what you just did. I don't know why. It never came across my mind until someone said I live right here, and they made a mitten out of their hand. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess it does look like a mitten.
Yeah, that's our claim to fame for sure. But yeah, no, I'm from the southwest portion, right on the Lake Michigan, right on the Indiana border, like an hour away from Chicago. So
Okay.
kind of just barely there.
So that's got to be pretty close to Toledo, right? Because Toledo is northwest Ohio.
Yeah, it's the other side of the state.
Oh, wait a minute. What did you say?
The southwest
Yeah.
is on the
Southwest,
east
northwest.
side.
I'm sorry. No, Toledo is northwest Ohio. So it should be around there
Right.
somewhere. All right.
It's other side, but that's okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't even know what the state looks like. So I shouldn't go based on my bad memory of where Toledo is. So, all right. Well, let's get this party started. How did you discover the law enforcement analysis profession?
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, if we want to start from the very beginning,
Birth.
birth, right? Oh, every little kid has like their career that they want to be when they're grown up, and firefighter, ballerina, or whatever. But I remember meeting in a sandwich shop when I was very little, this policewoman that was there, and she came in on a motorcycle. And I just thought she was a superhero or something. And I remember she smiled at me and she talked to me, and I was like, I'm going to be a policewoman that rides a motorcycle. And I told everybody that for years. So my love of criminal justice started very young. But really, it kind of started when I was looking to get out of the military. I was, like you said, I was an intelligence officer for 8 years. So I was trying to figure out what my transferable skills were. Like you said, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and then I have my MBA as well. And so I was looking to see maybe I can get back into criminal justice is my original love. So I looked into like, okay, well, how does that translate for intel? Could I be like a background investigator or a private investigator? But like neither of those really felt right, And I had never heard of crime analysis at this point, by the way. So part of transitioning out of the military is they make you do something called TAPS, where you take like a week-long seminar where they help you get out of military, make sure you're set up. So one of the exercises they made us do is use this website, which for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of, but we would type in where our military specialty was, and it would give us like this list of things that it was translatable. And the only one I can remember and the one that stood out was crime analysis. So that was like, what is this? The description sounded really cool, really badass. And so I delved into it, tried to figure out what it was more about. And then that's where Google took me to the IACA website. And that got me interested. I noticed that there was going to be an annual conference in 6 months. This was back in 2023. So it was going to be in Dallas, which I don't know if you can do geography again with me, but that's only a 5-hour drive from Wichita. So I was like, well, that's perfect. My boss was willing to let me go without taking any leave. So I scrimped and saved for 6 months to afford the registration and the hotel room, and I got it. And I went, and I just absolutely fell in love. In every single seminar, I was just like locked in all the time. And I have ADHD, so for me to be locked into anything the whole time is significant. So I was realizing that I was interested in it. I talked to everybody that I could, and every single analyst that I talked to was like friendliest person I've ever met, which was just strange to me because I was like, I've never really experienced a career field where everybody is friendly. So that was new to me. But everybody was trying to connect me, get me in personal contact with people that would help me. I've collected so many business cards that week. I think I still have a bag of them somewhere because just everybody just wanted to help me out, which was awesome. Made some lifelong friends there. So it was awesome.
There's just something magical about going to the conferences for the first time. I remember mine. I was so gung-ho and so excited about it. I was actually asking people that I knew. I was like, I can't get to that session because I'm going to this other session. Would you take notes for me?
Yeah.
I was asking people to take notes for me.
Yeah. Like doing the whole thing where you skip out maybe in the first half and try to get both. And my gosh, no, it's like Disneyland for us nerds, isn't it?
You're just a sponge, right? And you're just trying to make connections and learn new things, and there's just so much that you don't know. And it's
no, exactly. And that's even where I guess at the vendor fair was the Arizona State was doing their pitch, and I was like, I had GI Bill money to spend.
Okay.
So I was like, well, this would be free for me, and like I was seeing all this software that everybody was using, and I was like, I want to learn how to do that. So that's where I figured out that I could register and get my graduate certificate. And so, I made a lot of great decisions that week. I'm really glad I went, but that's how I got acquainted with the career field was that process. And just going to that conference was just sealed the deal for me. So.
We'll talk about the graduate certificate a little bit later.
Sure.
I do want to back up to your time in the Air Force.
Okay.
And as mentioned in your intro, you were an intelligence officer. So I'm just curious what types of things you got into and what you did and how it laid the foundation to what you're doing now.
Sure, yeah. I mean, so as an officer, you don't really specialize in what type of intel. You kind of are supposed to be kind of a jack of all trades, master of none type deal. And then you're enlisted that you supervise. They're the ones that specialize. So each of my assignments that I had, which I think I had about 5, they were all vastly different. And I got to go to all these different countries and do stuff. I got to do a lot of signals intelligence. I got to do a lot of supporting aircraft and giving them threat briefings before they went on their missions and stuff. So it was a lot of not very applicable type stuff to law enforcement analysis, but you definitely learn like the intelligence cycle very well, and you learn how to use your tools and how to present data and things like that. I gotta tell you though, I did not love military intelligence. It was not something that sparked my little nerdy reptile brain, but I was good at it, and I liked the data part of it,
Was it because it was too stringent? and didn't allow creativity? What do you think it was?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, you have you have even down to like the templates that you're supposed to use in PowerPoints. They're usually pretty, strict on what you're supposed to do for those. But I mean, also you're reporting intel on an entire country,
Hmm.
and whereas with law enforcement analysis, you have a specific. If you're doing at least the investigative part, you have like a specific bad guy that you're doing intel on, or a specific like gang or something. It's just a little easier for me to get interested in something more specific versus weapon specs on another country or something is just not really my cup of tea, but I was
Yeah.
good at it at least. So
Yeah. Do you have a favorite story you like to tell from your time in the military?
favorite story, oh my gosh. Oof, I gotta be careful. I got my deployment. I deployed to Afghanistan, and I was a flyer out there. I didn't fly the aircraft. I was in the back of the aircraft doing top secret nerdy things. And I found out very quickly that I am motion sick, like in very small planes, apparently.
Hmm.
So we had a very bad storm one day. I think it was literally on New Year's, and
Mm.
I just threw up every trying to do my job while throwing up. And I can look back on it and laugh, but I think it's really funny when you think about like, oh, stressful environments when you're trying to brief the chief and command staff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I think I've had my stressful environment. So
Oh man, that would be the worst. I can't imagine still doing my job and puking, right?
yeah.
But my wife will tell you I'm a big baby when it comes to getting sick, so I can't
Hmm.
imagine me trying to actually be functional while I'm sick.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you learn a lot about yourself in those instances for sure.
All right, then how did McPherson get on your radar?
So when I was looking for an internship to do, and I was looking at which the military internship program is called SkillBridge,
Mhm.
which is where we get to our last 6 months of active duty. We get to go do an internship, and the military still pays us. So I was looking into doing that, and I was looking for police departments because I had decided that I wanted to be a crime analyst at that point. I
Mhm.
was finishing up my degree, so I was almost done. And I found the closest one to me, which just happened to be an hour away, was McPherson. And they were only doing internships for police cadets. But I ended up emailing with the person of contact over there, and then eventually Chief Golden, which is still the chief over there, and kind of convinced them that they should start an internship and start a crime analysis unit, and that they should let me do it. And so that's how that happened. And yeah.
That must have been a pretty good. You must have had a pretty good pitch. You got three things there, right?
Yeah, I know, right? It was quite the sell. They did say no at first, but I kept trying. Eventually, Chief caved.
Mm. Oh man, so that's a pretty big responsibility. It's a pretty big ask too. So
Mhm.
kudos to you for not giving up because I would have been, oh, you don't have you're not gonna give me an internship. I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm not gonna convince you to create a whole unit and everything else. But kudos to you for getting us off the ground.
I mean, desperation does come to play there. With a lot of opportunities for me, and I didn't want to waste it on doing something else. So,
Yeah.
that was the ticket there.
Yeah. So McPherson's how big is McPherson?
I might be wrong here, so don't quote me on this, but I believe the population's around 14,000.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty small, pretty
Mm-hmm.
small. And but they've been around a long time, and they've got a pretty good established police department. So for a small town, they're pretty robust in their like
Mm-hmm.
law enforcement and the budget they have for them. So I was impressed.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, it's it boggles my mind what law enforcement analysts are asked to do. It's 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 really not like any other profession, I swear. It is really
Nope.
odd. I just can't imagine in the business world or anywhere else. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have the intern create the unit." That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely, I think I had to have a little bit of an ego when I was pitching it, but here we are. So
Yeah. All right. So you're walking in the first couple of days. Just take us back. It's only a couple months ago, but just take us
yeah.
back to that first week, and as you look back on it and what you experienced.
Well, sorry to keep bringing it back to my ASU time, but I brought all my textbooks because I kept
Oh.
all of them. And I brought them in and I was like, these are gonna be my Bibles. So this is
Uh-huh.
how I'm gonna set things up. And I came in there and I trying to figure out what software they do have and trying to work off of that and just trying to get the chief and what his idea is. And he actually was already in talks with Sabrina Potts over at the
Oh,
Shawnee
okay.
Police Department. Yeah. And so she was helping him before I even got there about kind of understanding what the career field is and what we do. So he was kind of creating a list of like, okay, like I could get her to do this for me. And like, this is something we could probably use. And so she ended up being a great resource for me too, as well. I emailed her, I think, the first week I got there and was being pretty needy, obviously. And she sent me a lot of products that she had made for her department. She sent me this really great one, which was like a significant activity table that I just fell in love with because it was Excel based and very nerdy and data oriented, and just started from there and building dashboards on Excel. So that's pretty much how I started, was
Mhm.
really getting help from Sabrina and then the textbooks that I had to just start setting up processes.
Do you have a records management system?
We do.
All
We
right.
do. It's
I
not a
w
good one though.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny. I sometimes ask, do you have is it RMS or RMSE?
Oh, yeah.
Most people say it's RMSE.
That's accurate.
Yeah. So I mean, are you at least able to get the basic data out of it? Obviously, most
Mhm.
analysts, an RMS never gives them everything that they want.
Right, right. I mean, it has the ability to export your searches into an Excel table, right? And
Hmm.
that's can pretty much do anything after you have that. So the
Yeah.
search function's a little wonky, but exporting to Excel was really all I needed to kind of get started. So that thankfully I had that. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're developing the data and dashboards and reporting, what patterns and trends are coming out? What are you identifying as problem areas for McPherson?
So it did take me quite a while to start going through data and start finding patterns. With the small town like McPherson, I got the privilege of sitting in the office with the detectives. So I'm hearing them talk quite a bit. And they're saying, oh, so and so doing this again. And I'm like, okay, I don't know so and so. So I gotta go look up so and so. And so a lot of the patterns that you're seeing, at least in a small town like McPherson, are done by the same people. So that was the first thing I picked up on. And then I realized, pretty quickly that we had a large theft problem. And then we did have a little bit of some drugs as well, enough that we had our own drug task force in that small department. So those are the two things I noticed pretty quickly. And then those are also the two things that Chief brought up of, I really want you to focus on this. So I got lucky with kind of having a little bit of direction there.
All right. All right. And then I know it's still early yet. Have you made any headway? Not to,
Yeah, no, I think I have. I love my department. I love my chief. They at least they act like they're impressed every time. So giving them data that they can like easily understand and be, I mean, I'm telling them what's going on. They enjoy it. And so I think that
Mhm.
we're at least making headway there with like, okay, now we're armed with data. Now we know what's going on a large scale. So I think I am making headway.
All right. Oh, good. And then I guess let's talk about just setting up the unit,
Okay.
because that's obviously not only are you learning the position, you're learning the data, you
Yeah.
are also trying to establish this unit. So
Hmm.
what's that been like just the last couple of months?
Ah, I mean, it's been a challenge, but told them that I could do it, so I was gonna figure out how to do it. And like I said, I had a lot of mentors. I joined Marcan to just make
Hmm.
sure I had a local network. And a lot of the issue was the software, right? Because they never had a crime analysis unit before. They're a small department. The budget is just not there for that kind of stuff. And I'm operating off of just Excel for a
Hmm.
while. But eventually I'm like, I need some sort of mapping software. And we eventually found out that the police department was already paying for Esri and they just never used it. So
Oh.
Thankfully, we got that on board. But a lot of it was just kind of, I had to create my own software really within Excel, like Power Queries and things like that to just give me the tools that I needed regularly. And thankfully, obviously, I had ArcGIS Pro as well. And so setting that up, getting those processes done, I started creating some products for me that I was telling myself I was going to put out, because whenever I would talk to Chief, I was like, what do you want? And he's like, well, this maybe, I don't know. So he gave me complete autonomy and would give me feedback if he wanted that or he didn't want that. So I started setting up, I was going to send out a weekly PowerPoint to him at first and then to command staff. And so I did that. And then I started working on a quarterly report. And then I just kind of started creating things. I was like talking to detectives, listening to patrols, seeing like where was there a need for me? Where was there a need for more data, more intel? And just kind of working off that. And it is only 4 months in, so I'm still creating more processes and more things that the unit is going to be known for producing. So that's kind of how it's been going so far. But yeah.
What about like hardware, like office space and desks and Post-it notes?
Post-it notes. Gotta have Post-it notes. I am out of Post-it notes currently, so that's a good reminder to bring in more. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they gave me a desk in the investigation office, which if you ever see a picture of it, it looks like a closet. It's very small. There's 2 detectives in there and me, and then for a while we had a 4th person. So it was cramped, but I think it was the best place for me to be at, because not only was it a great place strategically for me to listen to what was going on, but also I had a detective in there, and her name is Detective Jessica Dirks, and she just wanted to use me. She had worked with federal intel agents a lot, and she loved analysts from those experiences. So when she found out that I was coming, she's like, I'm going to use her. And she certainly did. So hardware and office space worked out really well for me, even though it was a little bit cramped and it was like, I don't quite belong here. And then we're moving over to a new substation here next month as well, where the chief has kind of sectioned off an office for me, which is, I think, a big deal. So, I mean, it's all about just kind of like making do with what you have and then making it an advantage, so.
Besides the new space you're going to get, what else is next for the unit?
Well, next for the unit is making sure that this unit stays. I mean, with the budgeting discussions that the city's having right now, I think they want to keep it for sure. So it's all about where the money's going to be at, and if they can keep me around, if they want to keep me around. And then I think that we have a very forward-thinking chief, which you don't always get in small cities and small police departments. A lot of the times you get chiefs that just want to keep doing it the same way they've been doing it for the last 40 years. But Chief Golden he is so forward thinking. He's trying to create like a mini real-time crime center. He's working on getting LPR set up in his town. He is looking at the future, and he wants to make sure that his city is set up for success in the most futuristic way possible. So a lot of it is depending on that. So I think as long as he is in charge, we're going to have a lot of forward movement. I really do believe that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would be something that you're an intern, you created the unit, and they're like, oh, we're not going to hire any analyst.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, could you just work for free the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Oh boy. And I just reminded me that you're traveling an hour every day for this internship. Not getting paid. Well, I guess you said you're getting it's not totally for free. You get the military benefits, so that's not too bad. Yeah, it just reminded me of my days when I was in Baltimore, and I was driving probably 30 or 40 minutes every day one way, not getting paid at all. I was just there learning, and it was, but that impressed them. That told them that I was really serious, and they ended up hiring me on afterwards. So hopefully you get the same nod, given all the stuff that you've been able to accomplish this last couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a really great honor if they wanted to keep me on, and I think they do want to. So we'll see.
Hi, this is Jeffrey Vandersip, and I'm going to tell you about a couple of my pet peeves. Pet peeve number 1 is the size of parking lots at grocery stores. They create these parking lots for Yugos, and yet everybody is now driving a Ford F-150, and you can't fit in anything, or if you do, you're banging the doors of your neighbors. Pet peeve number 2 is the little button in cars that open the fuel filler door seems to be in the most oddest of places. And whenever I go somewhere else and I rent a car and I have to go to the gas station for the first time, I spend a half hour trying to figure out how to open the fuel filler door. Pet peeve number 3 is just packaging generally with things that you get in the mail. It's like Russian nesting dolls. You've got a box, and inside that box is another box. Inside that is another box. Inside that is a bubble wrap. And then you get to like a little piece of whatever, which is the thing actually sent. And finally, and again, betraying my age here, the screen filters that people use in their social media, everybody kind of looks like somebody out of Avatar. What's up with that?
Hi, this is Shawn Fisher, and at my work, we're known as the Nerdery, and we're proud of it. Embrace who you are.
For the listeners, I did forget to mention in the beginning of the show that we are doing a call-in segment, favorite first job. So for those that have a favorite first job, get your calls in now. All right, Tori, then let's talk about building a unit. And this is fresh on your mind. Just from your experience, maybe advice that you have, or just whatever you want to say about building a unit from your point of view at the moment.
Right. Well, I mean, I probably have already blown so much smoke towards my chief, just complimenting him, but it really does depend on the chief's attitude, right? Or the sheriff or whoever the leadership is at your law enforcement agency, that you have to have them buy in. If you don't buy in, then you're gonna have no luck. So, I mean, that's the first thing, is just to make sure that you have a forward-thinking chief or sheriff that's got your back and will back you with anything new you want to try. I think that making sure that wherever you're adding things is not at the detriment of anybody else in the police department. You don't want to create more work for your officers. You don't want to create more time-sucking meetings or anything like that. So just immersing yourself in that culture and listening and figuring out what the need is there, because I mean, we all know that one size doesn't fit all for intel and what the needs are there. So I try really hard to, every analyst should read reports every day, right? And just gleaning from that and the conversations of like, hey, what's going to be useful for you? Like, don't hand them an Excel document with 27 tabs and say, here you go, this is going to help you do X, Y, and Z, because they're not going to look at it, you know? So I think that's the foundation of, on top of having leadership buy-in, is making sure that your presence is adding and not detracting from whatever they're used to doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah. So I think it's amazing the just the thought of just starting everything from scratch. I don't know if I'm starting with hardware or software first, or where I would go, right? It's probably a decent game we could play at a conference. It's like, okay, you have all this stuff, you have a budget, what are you buying first?
Oh,
right?
I like that. We should definitely do that.
Yeah, right. You have a little bit of a salary cap and you can only spend so much money. What are you doing? What quality you getting? It is a lot because there is so much before you know it. Because I'm thinking about it, your perspective now is like most of your data is probably coming from your RMS or maybe your CAD. But as you mentioned, as the technology grows in the city, you get LPRs or cameras, or you just start getting so many more data sets. It's going to grow and grow and grow before you know it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely tricky to try to, because obviously the chief is the one that's got to bring any big cost to the city commission. So you have to, anything that you think that the department needs, you really have to vet that thoroughly, and he has to vet it. So, yeah, so far I have not brought him anything that he needs to bring to city commission. That doesn't mean I won't have anything. So yeah, just kind of figuring out what it is you can operate without and what it is that you're like, all right, chief, we need this. Before we found out we had the Esri subscription, I was fully expecting to have to push him or request him to push this at city commission to purchase, because I'm not able to do any mapping on Google Maps the way I wanted to, so that's
Yeah.
definitely part of it for sure.
Yeah. Chris Delaney, when he was on the show, he works for Esri, and he regularly, as he goes to conferences, analysts find out that their city, one way or another, already is paying for an Esri license that they could easily piggyback on. He says that happens regularly.
Yeah, I didn't know that, and that was something new for everybody involved. So it was a really great discovery to find out. And I guess that would be my number one tip for anybody setting up a unit in a small town is check that Esri license, because your county GIS guy probably has one.
Yeah, or planning, or somebody
Right.
probably has a license. You're right. Good. Well, you mentioned city commission, and I see here on your resume you've actually spoke at city commission briefings. So I'm curious to know how that went.
Yeah, no, like I said, I was giving myself homework to do, and quarterly reports were one of them. And so I brought my quarter one report to the chief at the end of March or beginning of April. And, he was like, can you put something together that's not law enforcement sensitive to brief to the city commission, kind of give them an idea of what you've been doing and what you've seen in town. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of experience briefing from the military, so it didn't scare me or anything. Put something together, and I did it. And we have a great mayor at McPherson. He's very law enforcement friendly and loves everything that we do. He's also a veteran, so he was very excited about us using the Skill Bridge program. And so I presented it, and they loved it. They had questions, and it was good. I think public transparency is just such a large part of intel for law enforcement. So it was good to actually put that into action.
Yeah. And then I guess, well, I mean, even some tips there, because that could be pretty intimidating, right? I think when I was an analyst in police departments, I struggled with briefings, really, because it seemed like the audience was always a little bit of a mixed bag. People had a different understanding of data, and really struggled with what level of detail to go into, what to show, what not to show, how the best way to communicate my message.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of thing, public speaking, I think it's just something that takes practice. So it's not, I don't want to say it's something easy to do, because it's not, but figuring out your audience. I mean, I definitely ran it by my chief before I presented it and made sure that it was something that they could absorb and react well to. You don't want to paint your department in a bad light. If you're saying that there's an increase, like for me this last quarter, which there's even a news clip of me talking about it because it was such a big deal, but we had a 81% spike in our drug offenses in the first quarter of this year compared to first quarter of last year, and explaining it in a way that we had two major busts that our department did. That was why we had these recorded reports that were way more. So just making sure that you're framing things, and don't lie, but frame them in a way that it's like, we have this spike because our guys are doing their job. So yeah. I think that's probably the most important part of it, is to make sure you're representing your department really well and you're speaking their language. So.
All right, very good. All right, well, we talked about it before. I do want to touch on the graduate certificate that you got from ASU. You mentioned the textbooks, but just wanted to talk a little bit about the program and what you got out of it other than textbooks.
Oh man, I've never had so much fun in school. I'll tell you that much right now. I mean, some of it was really hard. Specifically the very cerebral portions of it, where there was I can't remember the names of the classes, but there was a lot of ones that were very research heavy, which is not my strong point. But I think the class I got the most out of was the crime mapping class, because that was very hands-on, and they give us our own ArcGIS license to use during that time. That is probably one of the biggest things that I took into this internship that has super helped, because I was able to remember somehow how to do a lot of the stuff from that class. I wish I could remember the name of my TA that worked with me specifically, but they were so good. They told you exactly what you were doing wrong, how to fix it, and that SQL and stuff like that does not come easy for me. So learning that kind of stuff was so important, and learning how to import Excel data was especially important. And so yeah, that was probably the biggest one I remember. There's the intro to crime analysis, which I think was probably my favorite class. And I just gained a lot of, like, they do such a good job of like making you do real world stuff. It's not just you're absorbing a lecture and then you're taking a test on it. You're doing projects and you're doing things that you would be doing in real life. So I really, really enjoyed those classes. I didn't get A's in all of them, but I really enjoyed them.
So had you worked with Excel prior to the graduate program?
I have my MBA, and that's part of it is you have to learn a little bit more of some advanced Excel skills. So I had that, and I had some stuff that I had learned in the military as well. But there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know, and I believe there is a Excel focused class. I can't remember the name of it, something data, I believe, that taught me how to use that in crime, like Z-scores and things like that, significant values, things like that I just didn't know before. I'm such a nerd. I love Excel. So things like that I really got a lot from, and that really helped me when I was coming in and setting up and trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah. How about, so the students taking this program, is this mostly working professionals? Is it people just straight out of college? What was the makeup of your cohort?
Well, I think a lot of my classes in particular were, obviously they were all remote, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the people that were doing distance learning were people that were, from what I remember from the introduction post, were working parents that trying to go back to school. There was, I remember, a couple of retired police officers, and there were some that were military as well. And then just, it was a wide variety. Like, I could not tell you who most of them were. It seemed like it was a pretty mixed bag.
All right, very good. All right. And I also see on your resume here that you've worked with Tableau, which is a dashboard software that I use regularly at my current job. So I want to get your take on using Tableau and how you feel that it fits in the analysis realm.
I have unfortunately only gotten to use Tableau with ASU. It was one of the software that they taught us. But I enjoyed it. I think it was very user friendly as far as like knowing what buttons to click to get what you need. I don't know that I have an expert opinion on it, just because I haven't been able to use it in the professional world, but that was just one of the software that they taught us at ASU, and I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on at least the basics of it by the end of it. So
yeah, I really like the data import functionality of Tableau, but just like with any other software, it eventually gets persnickety and frustrating when you're trying to get certain graphs and things to look just right? And then you're just fiddling with it for hours on end. So that's usually where my frustration with the program gets, is something that I think should be very simple turns out to be quite a headache.
They'll get it right someday.
Yeah. So, all right. How about advice for our listeners?
Advice from a crime analyst that's been doing crime analysis for 4 months. Well, I'm trying not to repeat myself from stuff I've already said, but going back to how I got here in the first place is, don't take a no for a no unless it's a hard no in the professional world. Like, if I took that first no and just, I wouldn't be here. So, if you truly believe in your abilities and your, what you can do, I would say go for it. I have a lot of people that are in other parts of law enforcement that work for a police department, and they're telling me, I keep pushing crime analysis on my small police department. They keep saying no, but I think it would be good. And I'm like, well, keep asking. Like, if you truly believe in something, like, never back down until you're told to truly back down.
Yeah, that definitely don't get yourself a restraining order.
No, don't do that. I mean, no means no when it comes to a lot of things. For sure.
All right, very good. Let's take some calls. Let's do some favorite first jobs. And I always mention that I got this idea from Steve Gottlieb from the Alpha Group. And because when he was 16, 17 years old, his first job was working at the local radio station. And he worked his way up to being Sunday morning DJ of the local radio program. So I like to ask analysts what their favorite first jobs are. So first on the line is Jan. Jan, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
My favorite first job was when I was in the Air Force, and it was literally my first job in the Air Force. I was a flight commander of a intelligence collection unit in Alaska, and I was the first female flight commander of the intelligence unit in Alaska. And I walked onto the floor. I had 35 people, and everybody sitting at these like collection racks or desks and things like that, or writing on maps and things. I mean, it's all very professional, secret-y kinds of stuff going on. And I walk in, and my deputy commander stood up, and he was on a raised platform, and this man was about 6'5", and he leaned over the railing between his desk and where I was standing and said, "LT, welcome aboard." I mean, here I am walking on. This guy's a senior master sergeant, so he's been in a while, and I'm green behind the ears for second lieutenant, and he was the most welcoming, wonderful person, and that was the best job ever. We were a family, 35 people who had to get the job done and did have an organizational hierarchy and all of that. But we were a family. We did potlucks. We played baseball. We were a 24-hour operation, so we worked shift work. It was just the most amazing job. And so that I was so lucky that was my first job in the Air Force, because it made the next 20 years just fly by, always having the memory of that as being my first job.
So yeah, that's interesting take. I don't know from your perspective on the Air Force how big the units were, but it seems like what she had was a pretty tight-knit group.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so funny that you have an Air Force intel officer the first call. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of similar to my first job as a second lieutenant as well. As I was on shift work with a small group, and something about shift work just makes you grow really close really fast. So I can definitely relate to that one.
Yeah, I think it's like minds around the same age doing a similar tasks. You just it's good when you bond as opposed to infighting, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, no, definitely prefer that.
Yeah. All right. Next on the line is Alex. Alex, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
So after I left the Army and before I started college, I spent almost a year working as a bartender at an American-style diner in Germany, as envisioned by a German who had been on exactly one trip to the US sometime in the 1980s. So imagine this: the decor was a hodgepodge of different styles and eras of Americana. The place was called the Peach Pit Diner, a shameless and probably unlicensed ripoff of the Beverly Hills 9210 diner, and it was a lot of fun. It was attached to a Cineplex, and we were open every day until 3 a.m. We served a pizza that was neither New York nor Chicago style, fairly decent hamburgers, and American beer as a novelty. Now, this is in Germany. You got to keep that in mind, right? So American beer is something that was sort of laughed at. And I mean, I remember customers doing contests of how many they can drink at a sitting, and they would often run out of money before they were buzzed. But this was the first time in my life where I didn't really have to worry about anything. I was not in school. I lived fairly cheap, and I had almost no expenses. So I worked 4 or 5 nights a week from 6 to 3, and it was a glorious job. And at the end of that, when I got close to starting college, I seriously considered staying on for a little longer. I'm glad I didn't, but that was a fun job.
Man, that is so interesting. Could you imagine just going to a restaurant once in a different country and then creating a whole restaurant back home?
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I wish he would send us pictures. That would have been so funny to see what that German thought 1980s America was like.
Oh man, it takes the same level of confidence as starting a unit when you've never been quite before.
Oh yeah, I wanted to go see this unit for one day for a couple hours, and this is what I came back with. So, oh man. And it is interesting about the beer because you would think that it wouldn't fly over there, but it sounds like it was like a novelty, and they took it as a challenge to,
Oh man.
as he said,
Yeah.
you see how many beers you could drink, and you ran out of money before you got drunk.
Yeah, I love Germany. I studied abroad there, and they are not joking about their beer. So
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Now, when you were there in Germany, is the beer cold or warm?
It's room temperature.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I think that's more of an American trait that it's ice cold beer. So,
Yes, yes, it is. Unfortunately.
all right. Next on the line is Heather. Heather, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
One of my favorite first jobs, I worked in aviation. And so I was helping direct radio communication from the aircraft to where our facility was located. And I would sometimes park and chalk aircraft and also help them on their way out to the runway. Coolest thing about that is I was able to park George W. Bush's plane when he came in one time. I met the governor of Florida, the governor of Kentucky, and I met Dirk Bentley.
Wow, that's a name drop there.
It was awesome. I really loved that job. Yeah.
That's interesting. I always watch those folks that are directing the airplane in, and they got the orange stick light
Yep.
and everything else, and I'm like, there's a whole science and technique to everything that they're doing, and I don't know why I'm so intrigued by it, but every time I'm in a plane and I got a window seat, I take time to watch what they're doing because I find it fascinating.
I always feel bad for them when it's really cold out and they're
Oh
out
yeah.
there bundled up. But yeah, that is a thankless job for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, just all kinds of weather. Too hot, too cold, rainy, snowy. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
No,
might meet Dirk Bentley, so.
yes. Yes. Or park the president's plane or meet a
Yeah,
governor. Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
big deal.
That is a good name drop there that she had. All right. Next on the line is Erica. Erica, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
Well, Jason, not so much my favorite, but because I got my first speeding ticket, I was forced to get a job when I was 16. And I should also say I got my first speeding ticket trying to beat my best friend and her mom to the bowling alley, which I never made it to. I just went straight home and tried to cry so that my dad might feel bad that I got a speeding ticket, but that didn't work either. He said, get a job. So I got a job at Chuck E. Cheese and I worked there. I made birthday cakes. And yes, I wore the fat suit. I was Chucky several times, actually.
Oh man. And so what are some crazy moments there with being Chucky?
Well, as Chucky, Jason, kids either love you or they are terrified of you. So they either want to hug you and like not let go, or they run away screaming, crying. And some kids, like if they hug you, they really won't let go. So you have to learn, and you do in the fat suit, like how to strategically kind of kick them and remove them from you so that you can carry on with your job. Which sounds so awful. Now I wish I could be in the fat suit and just hug kids all day. That'd be easy.
Oh man, yeah, just knocking little kids over and having them laugh.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me.
Oh man. I like the visual of Chuck E. Cheese strategically knocking over kids.
Strategically doing anything in a mascot costume's got to take some talent.
Oh man, that is one place that I am really surprised has lasted all these years.
I know. I've never been to one. I've
Oh,
just
you
seen them from the
never have?
outside.
Oh
No,
man.
never had any interest.
Oh no, I used to take the kids there, and it's yeah, it's fun. They actually have, speaking of pizza, they actually have really good pizza. It's probably just frozen pizza that they're cooking, but I really enjoyed their pizza. And if they would allow me to roll in there by myself, I would just get the pizza. But they're not going to allow some old white guy roll in there by himself just to get pizza.
Oh yeah, that might be a little bit concerning there, Jason.
Yeah. I'll have to rent a kid in order to get some pizza from there.
That might be worse, but okay.
Oh man, no, that's a good one. See, that was a story that I would never have thought to hear an analyst say that they were the Chuck E. Cheese, and it all came from a speeding ticket of all things, breaking the
Oh
law.
my gosh. Yeah, of course.
All right, last one. Amanda, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
My favorite first job and my first job altogether was blueberry picking for a summer. Got all the blueberries that I wanted. It was hard work and was tired at the end of the day, and I walked away with maybe like $300 at the end of the summer. It wasn't the most lucrative, but I was outside a lot and worked hard.
Man, were your fingers blue?
Yes.
Yeah. I did that just for a couple hours once. We here in Tallahassee, there's a guy that has a bunch of blueberry bushes, and he gets to the point where he can't pick them all, so we'll go down there and help him. But I'm only doing it for a couple hours. I can't imagine doing it like 7-8 hours a day all summer long.
No, absolutely not. I mean, in Michigan, we do cherries. That's our picking, and I have literally only done it once because it was exhausting.
Yeah, but the cherry trees get pretty tall, right?
Yes, they do. You got to stand on a ladder sometimes, which is not always fun. So.
Yeah. Now that's the advantage of the blueberry. It's basically, it's just a little bit. They're about 5-6 foot high, so you're not getting on a ladder or anything like that. But
that's true.
Yeah, getting up and down on a ladder to pick anything all day long does not sound like fun to me. But I don't know. Amanda really enjoyed working outside. I would not. Me and the sun don't get along, so I don't.
I think we're all pretty similar that way, I think.
All right. So that's favorite first job. If you have a favorite first job that you want to share with the show, email us at leapodcasts@gmail.com. All right, Tori, let's finish up with personal interests. And you were in the military, so you told me you were a gym rat, which isn't a surprise to me. But the other thing that you told me that you get into is that you do military clothing freelance with your mom.
Yes, my mom and I own an Etsy shop called Susan's Custom Military Clothing. We make party shirts, which are like the dress shirts that they wear for like fancy balls and stuff, and we can customize the sleeves in the back. And then we also do baseball, like the caps, and we do like an elastic so the girls can put them around their buns easily. We make little kids clothes that are good for like deployment homecoming. So my mom does all the sewing, obviously she's the talent, and then I work the finance and the marketing side of things. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. She enjoys it. So it's a good time.
So you're marketing to the families of the military personnel?
Families and active duty. I think we get an even split. Yeah. So they're good customer base for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was because at first I thought it was just the personnel, but then as you talked there, I obviously could tell that it was more the families. I was trying to envision like a teenager, you're trying to get teenagers to wear military uniforms, and I was wondering how that went over.
Oh, no.
But hey, if you start trending, if you convince them it's a trend, they'll probably gobble it up, right?
Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, sure, whatever gets customers in the door.
Yeah. No, so that's fun working with your mom.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
All right, but you don't get into any of the sewing? She's not going to pass that trait down to you?
Yeah, she tried to teach me when I was younger, and I just did not have the dexterity to be able to do that. So it's all her.
Oh, man, that was one thing that still lingered with my wife. She got into sewing during COVID and was making masks and taught our daughter how to make burp cloths and she still does a bunch of stuff. It's just grown and grown and grown. All the stuff she makes bags and all different kinds of things. I had to section off part of the house to give her a sewing room, so it's grown
Nice.
that much. So
Nice. It's a dying hobby, so I hope she keeps at it.
yeah. So when she gets frustrated because the sewing machine will break and there's only like one person in town that can fix it.
That is so true. Every time. My mom has the same problem.
Yeah, that's like, isn't it? It's like out for weeks kind of thing because that person's so busy and everything else. So, and she's super depressed that Joanne Fabrics is going out.
Oh, my mom. I thought I was gonna have to fly out and comfort her. She was so upset.
Oh, yeah. So she is not happy about that. And so, I don't know. Somebody's going to pick up the slack. I don't know who's going to do it, but somebody's going to pick up the slack.
Right.
And I think my money's on Michael's. I don't know. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right, Tori, well, our last segment of the show is Words to the World, and this is where you can promote any idea that you wish. Tori, what are your words to the world?
My words to the world would be just to remember that you don't need to have it all figured out. If something lights a spark in you, if it's like a gut feeling or a skill that you have, to just follow that curiosity and see where it goes. Life doesn't always follow a linear path, and just because your career is starting a little unorthodox doesn't mean that it's wrong. If you're the first to walk that path, that's great. I was at my department, and I'm really happy that I did. So if you're doing something a little abnormal to get started, that doesn't mean you're lost. It just might mean you're doing something great. So just keep at it and follow that feeling.
Very good. Well, I leave every guest with you giving me just enough to talk bad about you later. But I do appreciate you being on the show, Tori. Thank you so much, and you be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. You can show your support by sharing this and other episodes found on our website at www.leapodcasts.com. If you have a topic you would like us to cover or have a suggestion for our next guest, please send us an email at leapodcasts@gmail.com. Till next time, analysts, keep talking.